I think that was the first clip I saw of you. You were trying to sneak in beer to the game and you like taped it to yourself. That is probably like one of the funniest YouTube shorts I've ever seen. Like I've rewatched it probably 20 times. I've shown everyone I know.
Yeah, because I walked through the metal detector and it's like beep, beep, beep. And then I lift up my shirt and it's like, it kind of looks like I'm strapped with a bomb. And they're like, oh my God, no, you can't have these beers. What is going on?
And then my favorite part of the whole thing was that you were surprised. You're like, what? I'm not allowed to. Like you were like playing into it. And you're like, what? No, this is normal. Like,
yeah. And my girlfriend at the time, now wife, I have rarely filmed vids with her, but like I was just at the game with her, so I was like, "Can you just like stand 10 feet back and film me walking through security with all these beers?" Mm-hmm. So I walked through. I didn't get in any trouble. They were just like, "No, you can't bring these beers in. You have to like put them down." But like one of the security guards saw her filming and freaked out at her.
Gets you in trouble in China.
And and so she was dragged into the back room. So I went with her, and they were like almost trying to arrest her for filming. And
at a sporting event.
Well, they got mad because like a security guard came over and grabbed her by the arm, and she was like, "Get off me!" and like swung her arm. And then the cops like, "She tried to hit me." And so it turned into like a whole thing. God. And then like we were held. But
she was filming, so she had evidence. Like she could.
Yeah, and then they called us into a back room. They had some cops show up to see that we were in China legally.
Oh, that's not good.
And so after that, she was like, "Yeah, I'm not helping you film your videos anymore."
You're fucking wild, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Was she living in China as well, or?
Yeah, we actually met in Shanghai, but she was from the U.S. She was cool. She actually went to high school and college in South Carolina, which I know is where you're living now.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, an American girl abroad. That's a good snag because you know she's down to travel.
Yeah,
but she shares your culture and everything. So
yep,
nice
for sure.
Yeah, that Shanghai Sharks was so funny. I've seen that series probably like 3 times. Like, yeah, it's just classic.
And then they like I released a vid about me being removed from the games and like me trying to I dressed like a woman at one point and I was like dragged out, and then they got a new president of the Sharks who saw that video and he was like, "Hey man, I actually like that vid. We want you at more games." And so the following season I just got courtside seats for a whole season. And they like wanted me to help like, you know, promote the games.
That is funny. Yeah, I remember you trying to sneak in I think vodka and like the peppers.
Yeah,
like in that same video.
I had to do that because then, like, the great thing about Shanghai Sharks games is that you could get beers for $1.50 and drink as many of them as you want. Yeah. Whereas if you go to a Celtics game, that you can only get 2 beers at a time. Yeah. But then they eventually, China's like trying to become more of a, a first world country, and for some reason they thought like, oh, we need to be more legit, so they just banned all booze. So then I had a series just all about how I could get booze into the games.
Yeah, I feel like the same thing's happening in Japan. They're like banning smoking in certain places, and they're getting rid of all the good things, you know?
Yeah. Like when I first moved to Shanghai, there were people selling drugs like outside of a lot of the bars and clubs.
Really?
There'd be the Xinjiang guys that were selling weed, but then there was also a lot of Nigerians selling cocaine or knockoff Molly. But this happened kind of the year before COVID. All of a sudden, like all of the weed dealers were gone, and then like
just disappeared into thin air.
Yeah, they were all gone, and then all the Nigerians were slowly gone, and then COVID happened, and like now I recently went back to Shanghai maybe like a year ago, and the city is coming back to life since COVID, but they definitely have gotten rid of all drug dealers that you would have seen before.
Interesting. Yeah, I was in Hong Kong. And there were like some Nigerians offering to sell me Coke and like 2C and stuff. Yeah. Which I was really surprised by. I thought China would be the last place you want to do drugs.
Yeah, because I know in Japan they're super strict. I've only been to Japan a few times, but I haven't really like seen anyone doing drugs at all.
No, it's very, very, very bad there.
And then in South Korea, it's like that too.
Yeah.
But when I first moved to China, my friend would just smoke joints in the taxis on the way home. And like sometimes the taxi driver would be like, "Oh, that's a weird smell," and he'd be like, "It's just an American cigarette. It's fine." Yeah. The guy would be like, "Oh, all right, cool."
I mean, he's not wrong, I guess technically.
Yeah. So and like walking down the street in China, sometimes we'd be smoking a joint.
That's crazy. You didn't get like paranoid or anything?
I mean, at first I was like, "This is crazy," but then after being there long enough, I was like, "I guess this is fine." And then it was around 2016 or 2017 they started to crack down on it, and I think it was because when Trump was being harder on China, they were like, we need to be harder on foreigners, or
reciprocal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were maybe at that point there was like too many foreigners living in China, so they're like, we need to get rid of some of them.
Damn.
So they would close down clubs at like 2 or 3. Like cops would block the doors, and they would make every foreigner pee in a cup. And then if you like,
you had to do that.
It never happened to me, thank God, but it happened to my friend. He got kicked out of China. If you tested positive, they would be like, all right, you either have to do 2 weeks in jail, or you can be kicked out of China permanently, or if you rat a few other people out, then we'll let you go.
No way.
Yeah.